My pet may be napping, but she's always hungry when she wakes up. Klaus. Hello, I'm Sensei the Dark Master, and welcome back to the lore of Ninjago. This time we'll be covering the various serpents of Ninjago. Since these are animals, and thus lack many of the traits that I'd normally cover in these sorts of videos. As such, instead, I shall open with a brief explanation of what I mean when I say serpent in this context. For this video, the term serpent refers to all snakes that are neither serpentine or vermilion. Basically, if it's a reptile and lacks legs, it's a serpent. Their history is pretty simple, as they, with one notable exception, Woldura, were created by the first Spinjitzu master along with the rest of Ninjago's flora and fauna, thousands and thousands of years ago. So let's start with the largest and work our way downwards. The largest serpent of all was the Great Devourer, which was formerly a small but oddly frilled viper that bit Garmadon and turned the boy evil. In time, it grew into a titanic monstrosity that the Serpentine used against the humans during the first Serpentine War before being defeated and sealed in a tomb. It was later released by Pythor in a bid to avenge his people, but was eventually destroyed, ironically, by Garmadon himself. The second largest serpent is the giant Anacondrai Serpent, which dwelled beneath the tournament of elements in a catacomb filled with the skulls of its previous victims. It is purple and lavender and possesses a spiked rattlesnake tail. Its origins are mysterious, but Klaus is believed to have hatched it from an egg shortly after the First Serpentine War. The third biggest serpent is Firefang, and is the only confirmed male serpent. Conjured out of the lava from the pyramid by Asphira, it ravaged Ninjago City and the monastery. What happened to him, however, is unknown as he seemingly disappears before Asphira's defeat. Perhaps he's still alive, perhaps he was destroyed, perhaps he was captured. In the end, we really don't know. The fourth largest serpent was the ancient sea serpent Woldura, who lived and ruled the primal ocean before the first Spinjitzu master arrived and helped fight against her. Woldura controlled the seas and storms via a pair of amulets before she was knocked out by the first master of water. She would be reawakened by the evil Prince Kalmar, but was permanently defeated by Nia. Her whole existence kind of contradicts a lot of lore we got earlier, but that'll be the topic of when I do an individual video about her. The next serpent is one of the most obscure of all the serpents of Ninjago, but also the only one for which we have a specific size. Therefore, we can use it to measure the size of all the other snakes. These are the burning serpents, native to the Caves of Despair. They possess fire breath and venom that can paralyze an elephant in 2.9 seconds, and can grow to a size of 74 feet long, though the average is slightly smaller. We can extrapolate this for the other serpents using this metric, especially when we consider that all the serpents I've mentioned beforehand are larger than this. The smaller type of serpent here is the elemental cobras, which technically are an elemental construct and not a true serpent, but they're close enough so it's fine. They possess the ability to speak, and can breathe fire, and come in various sizes. The smallest, but in some ways the most interesting and well-known serpents, are the mini snakes. Their origins and nature are highly divisive. According to some sources, they are really just recently hatched serpentine that are babies. Others say instead that they are separate species that works with the serpentine. This seems to be more likely as the Serpentine have been shown to be highly protective of their children, and it seems incompatible with the fact that they would use them as weapons, so it's probably more likely that they're just a type of snake used by the Serpentine as weapons. There is also a high diversity of mini snakes, not just one per tribe. In fact, only the Constricti tribe has a single mini snake, and the Anacondrai lack them altogether. This would indicate that they are indeed a separate species, or multiple species, as opposed to young serpentine. Because if they were just young serpentine, then we would only expect there to be one per tribe. Anyway, let's start cover their diversity, starting with the Venomarai Tribe. The Venomarai Tribe has two mini snakes, the first of which is the Toxic Viper, a lime green colored serpent that is one of the few mini snakes to possess venom as potent as that of the serpentine. Its venom causes the victim to hallucinate and get horrible breath, aka haptosis. This can only be cured via the anti-venom from the Venomarai golden serpentine staff. Interestingly, the young Great Devourer closely resembled the poison viper, indicating it may have been a normal mini snake before being corrupted by the overlord. The Toxic Viper was wielded by Lasha primarily. The second mini snake of the Venomarai tribe is the translucent purple viper, extremely obscure. All that can be said about it is that it was wielded by Spitta, and it can be conjectured that it likely had a venom that was just a weaker version of the Venomarai's. The Hypnobrai tribe possesses two mini snakes. The first is the Hypnoviper, a dark blue colored serpent. It possesses a weaker version of the Hypnobrai's hypnosis. Though incapable of complete hypnosis, its rattle can still render a victim in a state of confusion, long enough for a serpentine to either fully hypnotize them or kill them. They're one of only two mini snakes to actually appear in the show proper, interestingly enough. The second Hypnobrai mini-snake is the translucent blue viper. Much like the translucent purple viper, little is known about it except that Slithera wielded one, and that it can be assumed to have a weaker version of the Hypnobrai's hypnotic ability. The Fang Pyres have the distinction of having the most mini-snakes. The first is the Red Viper, wielded by Fangdam, which are believed to possess similar venom to the Fang Pyres themselves. They appear to have not only inhabited the tomb of the Fang Pyres, but also deserts in the past, though it's possible that they've gone extinct in the wider world, with one even being used by Gandalf as a fireworks, making it the only mini-snake to appear in a theme other than Ninjago. The second Fang Pyre mini-snake is the Sly Viper. Used mainly by Fang Shui, they have a venom that, unlike the other two, is strong enough to turn people into snakes. So it's not a weaker version, it's just pretty much the same. The third and final mini-snake of the Fang Pyres are the Golden Vipers. Numerous, they are wielded by a variety of individuals and possess a venomous bite, though exactly what property they possess is unknown. Though it's likely that they would simply be a weaker version of the Fang Pyre, especially if we base our assumptions off the other two individuals, as well as the other mini snakes as a whole. There is one individual that is named called Mr. Golden. The final mini-snake is of the Constricti tribe, which possesses the least amount of mini-snakes, that being just one. This one being the translucent orange viper, wielded by Chokun. It is poorly known, but likely possesses no venom at all, or at best just a generic sort of poisonous venom. This is because the Constricti, as a tribe, lack venom and instead rely on construction. So it's possible that this is sort of a non-venomous constructing type of snake, like a boa. So, in conclusion, what can we learn from this wild menagerie of serpents? Well, for one, they teach us that we need to have a certain respect for nature and animals, lest we get bit like Lord Garmadon. But that in the end, if we're smart, we can outsmart even the largest beast, as brain beats brawn. But we should always maintain a level of respect and caution. I'm Sensei the Dark Master, and join me next time in the lore of Ninjago.